Dinner tonight is at Nicco's Steakhouse. In this place, the menu doesn't look like a typical steakhouse menu because there's a lot of really interesting food items. For example, snow crab tempura. This is really, really interesting. A Wagyu beef country fried steak. That sounds incredibly decadent. There's also their specialty burger, which they really recommend, and I love burgers, so I'm probably gonna get that. Let's just get a bunch of stuff and try it. Also, this is the first steakhouse I've ever been to that gives you chopsticks. This is appetizer. Lobster, snow crab. There's a scallop crudo, tuna poke, East Coast oysters, clams, and these are just the most humongous shrimp from Mexico. This is definitely a wow factor of a starter. Start off with a little scallop crudo with miso and garlic chips on top. That's one of the most buttery melt in your mouth scallops you'll ever put in your mouth. With the miso and the crispy garlic, it does almost have like a bacony flavor to it. So it's sweet, smoky, a little bit of citrus from the lemon juice, oysters, a little bit of fresh horseradish, a little cocktail sauce. Oh, that's so good. First of all, it's so incredibly fresh. I like oysters that's not fishy whatsoever. This thing tastes clean as can be. You like for a little succulent morsels with the perfect amount of heat from the horseradish. Well, I actually never had raw clams before. Little cocktail sauce. Sweet, a little briny. Oh, that's delicious. It's got a very delightful hint of oceany aftertaste. This time, a little lemon juice and a little Tabasco. I think that's the way to eat it. A little lemon juice and Tabasco. I think I added a little too much Tabasco on that one, but the sweetness of the clam still shine through. And that thing's just got the most succulent, beautiful, tender texture. Tuna poke. Whoa. This whole hotel knows its poke. A hint of sweetness. You got that great umami from the marinade and the seaweed. Lobster claw. Oh my gosh. Splash of lemon juice, a little bit of mustard. I mean, how could that not be good? Mustard sauce really creamy with a tiny bit of kick. Oh my goodness, this thing weighs about a pound. This is a hefty, hefty king crab leg. I'm just gonna put a little mustard on here. Squeeze some lemon juice. That mustard sauce is so good. The only thing that's sweeter than a lobster in the ocean is the king. Every time though, still shocked by how sweet this is. And look at the size of the shrimp. This is not light. Little cocktail sauce. And of course, all their sauce here, homemade. If all shrimp cocktails could be like this. This is giant, meaty, sweet shrimp. Got a scallop crudo, thin slices of scallops with pineapple salsa and a serrano pepper vinaigrette. Wow, a little sprinkle of chilies on here as well is beautiful. This is the greatest thing. I thought the other scallop was so good. This is just blowing my mind all over the place right now. The sweet pineapple juice just elevates the natural sweetness of the scallops. You don't really need teeth to chew this. You really don't. The vinaigrette brings the acid, and I think it all tenderizes the scallop even more, and that's what's making it so amazingly succulent. And a bit of heat that comes in about 5 seconds after this goes in your mouth. If you love scallops, this will amaze you. Next dish, I've been eating a lot of carpaccio lately. I actually started craving it. So this is snow beef carpaccio with Parmesan cheese and smoked soy, and it looks like some pickled olives on this as well. Wow, this is just immaculate. Look at the marbling in these thin slices of beef, and this thing will absolutely touch your tongue and melt like a snowflake, bringing with it a bit of nuttiness from the cheese and leaving a beautiful trail of umami behind. And the pickled olives very much balances out the richness. This one I'm so looking forward to. Snow crab tempura with sweet vinegar on the side and pickled onions. Oh, this plate is hot as well. So dunk it into the sweet vinegar. This is a must try if you ever come here. Just the lightest, airiest little crust on the side. This is dry. Perfectly succulent, tender, sweet crab meat in the middle. Vinegar brings a bit of acid, a little sweetness. Add a little pickled onions. Wow. We gotta add the pickled onions. Balances out the richness and the sweetness even more. This is a giant plate of bone marrow. And look at the size of this toast. I think this is the biggest bone marrow I have ever seen. The amount of marrow in that bone just covered the entire circumference of this toast. Add some onion marmalade and some parsley salad on top. This is just buttery overload. Marrow is just roasted to absolute perfection. When it's sitting on a toast, it's just melting into the toast itself. The marrow is just so luxurious. It's smooth, it's gelatinous-y, and the onions just adds a bit of sweetness. That kind of enhances the slight sweetness of the marrow as well. Next dish, absolutely beautiful. This is center-cuzzed braised short ribs in a house demi-glaze. First of all, it's beautiful. Beef ribs served on its own bone. Each piece is rich, it's decadent, and just so tender. With the demi-glaze, it's smoky, and the demi-glaze has a nice vinegary element to it as well, so that helps to cut through the richness of the short rib. Main course time. This is their Wagyu burger with a mix of different cuts of Wagyu, a couple slices of cheese, and each patty is 5 ounces smashed to absolute perfection with that beautiful sear on the edges. The bun is toasted with butter, and just look at that beefy waterfall. And when I squeeze this burger just a little bit, that immediately ignites the beefy waterfall. Even before that bite was complete, I knew this was gonna be glorious. This is one of the most melt-in-your-mouth burgers you will ever sink your teeth into. The meat offers zero resistance, zero. I've had A5 Wagyu burgers in Japan. It did not melt like this. This is a true A5 Wagyu. The fries are fried in beef grease. Actually, this is really good. It's spicy ketchup, and there's actually a lot of heat in that ketchup, so that helps to cut down on the richness. I asked them just to make sure this is all A5 Wagyu. Yeah, this burger is basically made from the trims of their A5 steak. So there's Hokkaido Wagyu, there's olive Wagyu, which I think I tried once about 3 years ago. So you're basically getting 10 ounces of pure A5 marbled goodness. I've had Wagyu burgers in Japan. It didn't melt like this. Squeeze this burger a little bit. You can see how easily a patty just breaks apart. Very fitting to be eating that here in Las Vegas. Entree part 2 is here. Chef Daniel's at the table.
We got a little treat from the kitchen. These are beautiful Scottish langoustines. Nice little lollipops, and we're grilling them over almond wood and some Japanese white beef. We're gonna squeeze a little grilled lemon on top, and we'll finish with a Calabrian chili butter sauce.
I've never had langoustine like this before on a skewer, but langoustine's one of the greatest things to come from the ocean. Grilled tableside by Chef Daniel. Wow. This is just the ultimate in sweetness and smokiness. And it's covered in Calabrian chili butter. Creamy, little bit of citrus, super luxurious butter sauce that really brings out the sweetness of the langoustine. Steak, New York strip with a side of rigatoni and vodka sauce. That's definitely freshly made pasta. Nice kick to it too. Wow, look at that. New York strip prime, of course, cooked perfectly. That thing is just glistening. Look at all that marbling in the steak. All the steaks is cooked on a 1,000-degree grill, so all that delicious juice and flavor is sealed in. When you bite into this, it's just a flood of delicious beef juice. The steak is tender as can be. They brought over some sauces. This is a little fresh horseradish sauce. I'm just gonna add a little flaky salt. Steak and pasta. I think the only time I've had that was in South Korea. It's delightful. I never tasted something like this before. This is a citrus-fed Australian Wagyu. So basically this cattle was fed 25% citrus as its feed. Now that doesn't give it a citrus taste, but it absolutely adds to the tenderness of the meat. And my goodness, this thing is so soft. This might be the most tender piece of filet I have ever put in my mouth. You can see the marbling in each slice of this filet. This is absolute top tier Australian Wagyu. So I'm thinking it's M9 because as soon as it touches my tongue, it just starts melting. Even slicing into this filet with my knife, it literally feels like hot knife through butter. Feels more tender than A5 Wagyu with a much bigger beefy flavor. There's a little subtle hint of sweetness in the aftertaste as well. Whereas A5 Wagyu is very marbled, buttery, so you're tasting a lot of the marbling, the fat. This piece, you taste more of the beefiness. It doesn't melt like an A5 Wagyu, but it's so soft and you're able to enjoy the beefy flavor more than the A5 Wagyu. This is almost like eating Korean hanwoo. I think tonight everything has been good. This of course a newer steakhouse in Las Vegas. I love how they have items on the menu that's very uniquely different than a traditional steakhouse. Also, Chef Daniel and everybody I met, so incredibly kind and nice. If you are ever in Vegas, definitely give this a place a try.